Window cleaners of Reddit, what are your stories you witnessed on the job? I worked retail and once a month a window cleaner lady would come in and clean the store windows. She told me that one time she was cleaning the windows from the inside of the Apple store and a man walks by and licks the outside part of the window she was cleaning. She was upset since she had already cleaned it and would have to clean it again, but responded by telling the man, "Good thing I haven't cleaned that side." The man got upset and went to look for a manager. How does that work? Does he yell at the manager that she let him lick a dirty window? How does he think he can win here? It's so much fun working somewhere that you don't actually work. We were renovating a Target and idiots would always ask us where shit was, as if we have any effing clue. One cunt grabbed some poor manager to have him yell at us for not doing our jobs. Did a bank once too, and there was a line out the door and this guy got mad at me for jumping the line. Working at Denny's as a cook for a bit. Mother's Day rolled around and I was called in. Made the mistake of coming in the front door and had all these old ladies and adults yelling at me to not cut in line. I tried to explain I was there to cook their damn food, but oh hell. I felt like I was about to be assaulted. Had to go around back and bang on the door to be let in. Oh, that was almost me. Was waiting right by the door to enter a pharmacy, only 3 people at a time rule, and this lady blithely breezes past me inside. I'm pretty pissed. Oh, she just waves at the cashier and goes into the back. Happens a second time too, and I go through the same anger rollercoaster. By the third time, you'd think I had learned my lesson, but this time it was some dude in contractor clothes carrying something bulky, and no way he had any business in the back because it must be packed, and I can't believe you don't care about the rules and ignored me like that, you fuck. Oh, he waved at the cashier and went into the back. Sorry sir, but you must be mistaken. We don't do windows here, we're an Apple store. So, I was on a 10-story, early in the morning, first drop of the day. Top floor, naked man, nothing but a teal eye mask on, not my thing. Next floor, naked woman in her kitchen, 80, looked like a puppet out of a Genesis video. Also, not my thing. About an hour or two later, elsewhere on the building, an older woman offers me some cookies out a window. I see that the initial woman is kinda hiding in the shadows. She felt bad about flashing me and went to her friend's apartment to give me cookies. That was a weird day. Never saw anything I particularly wanted to though. Birds crashing into windows. Kids dropping water balloons. You need to train the birds to crash into the kids instead. Now that's what I call killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Favorite story from the time, I'm at this bank. I'm always doing the outside first then inside. Everyone usually pay us no attention, but when they notice we are washing the outside window they shut down Facebook or Amazon and open a blank spreadsheet. Not even a project, just a blank spreadsheet. Anyway, usually when I cast a shadow or bang my wall brush against a window they look around and do the "I was working I swear" dance, but I do this to the bank manager's window and he's completely unfazed. I think, or maybe he's actually doing work and thus unafraid. But then my squeegee comes around and I see what he's locked into. Group clown midget porn. I now think, oh please don't notice me now, then it happens. My squeegee jumps across the window and the manager looses it. He jumps up and hit both knees on the desk. He can't decide between nursing his legs or turning off the porn, so, left-handed he's trying to turn it off. Minimizes and there's more clown porn. He looks back at me and tries to cover his face. He mashes the keyboard and now I can hear it through the window. He dives and pulls the cord and he just lays there. I move away continuing my work as I realize I gotta go in there. I do the entire rest of the bank before this office. I prepare for the worst, an entitled angry response or a super awkward run out of the room. But he looks up, smiles, asks what he can do for me today, just here to get the windows, thanks me, looks at his watch and says he's got a meeting and leaves. It was crazy casual, and I get the dude had his kink and clearly comfortable with it, but the casualness was completely unnerving after watching a dude dive headfirst into his desk. Not a window cleaner, but my mom used to work on the top floor of a 32-floor building and there were some window cleaners a couple of floors down. My mom heard alarms going off in the building suddenly and she didn't know what was happening, but it seemed bad. A few hours later she found out that the wind was so bad that day that the window cleaners were getting thrown around and smashing into a bunch of windows. Apparently, the videos on the news showed them being pulled 20 feet away from the building in the heavy winds and they were just hanging on for dear life. They thankfully were rescued and no one got hurt, but they promptly quit. I used to clean wineries and winery businesses in California, and this lady had her desk stationed with her back to the window. She was playing World of Warcraft at work. It was pretty dope. I've also just had people stare at my ass. Not a window cleaner, however. I was working on a high-rise construction site when one of the guys yells out, "There's a girl here shaving her pussy on the balcony." Naturally we all run over to look at the building next door. There was a woman on the balcony giving her cat a haircut. I worked mostly residential, homes up to 3 stories or so, and small commercial places. I was doing the insides in a home, working my way around, and when I got to the master bathroom, the bathroom door was closed. Now, the homeowners were well aware that we were there, and I lightly knocked on the door before going in. Hearing no response, I opened the door. And there he was in all his glory. 70-ish-year-old man, naked as the day he was born except for having his head covered by his towel. He didn't hear my knock, but he heard the door open and said something like, "Is that you, honey?" thinking his wife had walked in. I was shocked and mumbled something like, "Oh sorry," and quickly backed out. Ordinarily I worked from the door and went clockwise around the house, but I went straight back to the front door to work counterclockwise back to the master, giving him some time to get decent. I told the wife that I had accidentally walked in on her husband as he was getting out of the shower, and she was fucking tickled. She told me he's deaf as a stump and probably had no idea, but she hoped I'd enjoyed my thrill for the day. Doing a huge house and the owner calling back to tell us that they have a scratch over a piece of glass and claiming one of our diamond rings made this scratch. Yeah, window cleaners are not running around with diamond rings. Biggest eye roll ever. I work with kids and there was a window cleaner yesterday. The kids love watching him work and ask all kind of question. What is he doing? How is he doing that? How does he get so high up? The man was really chill. He high-fived all the kids and answered some questions. He made their day. So, if you are a window cleaner and you do this, thank you. My cousin was a window cleaner until he fell from 3 stories high. He survived and made a full recovery. That was the only interesting thing he said that happened the entire time he worked there. Not a window cleaner, but I woke up one day with serious morning wood. Wife was sleeping, so I decided to take care of it myself. One hand on my penis on the laptop trackpad, I notice a shadow fall on me through the window. I look out the window and lock eyes with the maintenance guy doing some work on the outside of the building as he was being pulled up to the top floor. That was their first week. I saw that guy every day for the next 3 weeks while they finished work. Not much of a story, but you see a lot of peen. Mostly on accident, but also plenty of exhibitionists out there. I do lots of work in a largely gay town. Seriously, more gay couples than straight. They love seeing us young working guys come do their windows, and I don't blame them. Some will often schedule us nearly weekly. I really don't mind it as a straight man. I find it quite flattering, really. Some creepos like to show off their stuff though, and along with that I've seen plenty of full frontal nude dude art hanging on walls and whatnot. I've told this story before, but here it goes. I work on a small team of only women. We usually only have like 3 people in the office on the weekends, and we are on the 3rd floor. My colleague decided to pump breast milk in her cubicle and just told us not to come over until she gave the okay. Not unusual. Right as she started pumping completely uncovered, a random window cleaner descended from above and she let out a shriek. I don't think he even noticed right away, but then we watched him quickly try to scurry away from the window. He never came back to clean those windows, lol. I was cleaning the windows of a place I worked at, not an actual window cleaner. It was in the evening, so almost no cars in the parking lot. As I am cleaning, a woman walks out of the building, goes to her car and immediately takes off her blouse and bra and puts on a hoodie. Had some of the best boobs I've seen in my life. Never spoke a word about it until today. Basically, all the stories. You've got the first story, you do that one from the ground with a long pole. You've got all kinds of stuff on those windows, fingerprints, bird prints, bird poop, pollen. Second story, that's a toss-up. You can either rig up the scaffolding or use a ladder. Third story and up, that's where the action is. You don't have fingerprints, except in rare instances, but you get a lot of bird stuff up there, and once somebody shot a tomato out of a slingshot and hit the 10th story. That was some kind of day, I tell ya. Yeah, I've seen it all. I feel like as a non-window cleaner I apparently have a spicier story than most of the window cleaners, lol. My family was in NYC on vacation back in like 2007, and we stayed on a high floor in a hotel that had excellent views of the city and the buildings around it. I had a pair of those cheap-ass pocket binoculars and was using them to gaze around. I was truly not trying to peep at all, but on a casual pass I spotted what was very clearly a naked photoshoot going on in another building. I saw two guys both naked as the day. They were born posing in front of one of the windows and was so startled I dropped the binoculars like in a movie. Long story short, my skeptical but very curious family took turns verifying my claim, and then we all laughed really hard. Never thought I'd actually see something like that. It was like that episode from Friends. I seen a man jerking off a hamster, quit the job the same day. The birth of X-Hamster. Okay, that may be too much internet for today. I do mainly high-rise, so rope access, so there are a lot of people who forget to close their curtains and blinds. Plenty of naked people, mainly old though. An elderly person on the toilet, that was probably my most awkward. A few people offering me coffee, tea, soft drink, alcohol. Scaring the life out of people who had no idea we were coming. The worst experience I've had is probably the first time we arrived at a new building and had no idea how to get up onto the roof. The elevator went straight into the penthouse apartment. So my colleague and I called out but got no response. So we called again, this time louder. Nothing. So we start casually wandering around this apartment looking for stairs, or a hatch. Anything. After a few minutes we hear the most rage-induced shouting, and a sleepy-looking man in his underwear comes bounding out his room and chased us out. He had no idea who we were, and why we were in his apartment. We apologized profusely, and after he calmed down he was pretty embarrassed. No one told him we were coming, so it's understandable he got so upset by being woken up like that. Not me, but when I was at my cousin's house, they live on the 13th floor of a huge apartment building, there was a window cleaner outside. My cousin opened the window and yelled at him, "Hey, be careful, you're gonna kill yourself." Yeah, my aunt really let him have it. This board meeting was going on through the third floor window. Guy in charge asks a question, and the three people to his left all chime in with answers. The furthest from him chimes in with a good idea. But the head guy gives him a look and crash right through the window. Had us in the first half, not gonna lie. Way more window lickers here than cleaners, mate. They gotta get rid of the grape-flavored windows before I stop. Once saw a bondage session that involved a lot of feathers. Poor chickens. Had a friend that washed windows in Silicon Valley. Made pretty good money for a low-impact job. Turns out one day to a 3-story building and noticed a very jovial meeting in a conference room. Champagne bottles and glasses all over. Something was being projected on the wall, and he noticed that there was a large number in green. He took that to mean profit. When he finished the job that day, he looked on the side of the building and remembered the name. When he got home, he dumped $20,000 of his savings into stock options of said company. He never told me what company it was, or how much money he made off of it, but he definitely had enough to pay off his RV and buy a brand new F-150 Raptor to tow it around with. Okay, so like a week ago I'm up on a 20-story business building. As I'm moving down, a hawk smacked straight into the glass and fell into the lift. I had no idea what to do with this currently flopping bird, as the guy in the cubicle is giving me a death stare. Guess it spooked him and he thought it was me. This week I was cleaning apartments, and these two college-aged girls are sitting on their couch when they notice me. They run up and one flashes me. The other one writes on a sign with a marker and lifts it up for me to see. It said, "Op, you should use a serious tag." And that leads us to today. I used to be a window cleaner in the early mid-o. One day, while out by myself, I usually worked in a pair with my boss, but he was off work that day for some family stuff. I was cleaning the upstairs bedroom window when the door opened, and a couple came into the room, clearly with only one thing on their mind. Me, being a horny 18-year-old male, decided to climb down a few rungs and catch a peek. They started shagging, and were clearly enjoying themselves. Till I, being a dickhead 18-year-old male, tapped on the window and waved at them. She leapt out of bed, and shot out of the room, and I bugged TF out of there. Only to discover that I had to go collecting that night, too. Collecting is visiting the customers' houses who weren't in when we cleaned their windows, and getting paid. Obviously, I had to revisit the house of the shaggers, and was pretty nervous, as I didn't want a kicking for being a perv and watching them bang. Anyway, I knocked on the door, and a different woman answered, recognized me, and called her partner through to come pay the window cleaner. He came through, saw me, waited for his wife to head back through, and shoved £60 in my hands. The job was, like, £8, with a "don't you dare say anything" look. Turns out the woman I caught him with lived next door. I'm not a window cleaner but work on swing stages outside massive downtown buildings. See naked people a lot, usually out of the shower, but just recently have seen what must be a cam girl doing full naked shows almost every day. I just quit and will miss that aspect of the job. I got a story about a window cleaner, does that count? My husband, kids, and myself included went on a trip, and as the sun had just set, we decided to check into a hotel for the evening, have dinner, and call it day. We had stayed there before, a Hilton Garden Inn. We pulled into a parking spot around the back side of the hotel, grabbed our overnight bags, headed towards the back door. This is when I noticed a rather strange out-of-place guy in a uniform that one would normally associate with maintenance. In fact, I said to the guy, "That's odd they got you cleaning windows this late." He barely acknowledged me speaking and seemed intently focused on something through the window. Eyes bugged out, he just nodded his head as I walked past and opened the door, letting my kids pass through first, then my husband. I was momentarily intrigued and stood a minute too long looking at him. It was then he panicked and dropped his squeegee out of his hand into the empty bucket he was holding in the other hand and snapped out of the trance he seemed to be in. I ran and caught up to my family at the front desk. I whispered to my husband what I had witnessed and my suspicion that the guy was peeping. Like always, he brushed me off and said, "Nah, they do have window washers, you know, at dark." I said, "So?" I asked the lady behind the counter, and she raised her eyebrows and said, "Do we have someone washing windows after dark here?" "You saw someone?" She was as surprised as I was and even checked with the manager and indeed confirmed my suspicions. The guy was a creep with a fake uniform and an empty bucket and squeegee getting his perv on, so remember, always keep those blinds shut at the hotel at night. Hey guys, if you like this video then smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more contents like this. And don't forget to press that bell icon to get notified for future videos. Thanks for watching. Click here to see more videos.